So welcome to Tiny Bites. In this teensy weensy tutorial, we're only having one question. I messed up my Google Sheet, or maybe it was a Google Doc. Can I go back to an older version? The answer is yes, you can. So let's take a look at that. I'm assuming you have your browser and internet connection open, and you have that Google Sheet that you messed up. Here's our old friends again, only Al the Anteater though, because I accidentally deleted everybody else. That's a pretty big oops. So how can I go back to an older version? If you go to the Files area right here in the corner and click on it, and you slide down to Version History, you can come over to see the version history. And when you click on that, you see that when the program automatically saves things, it gives a date from when it was last saved. And I actually called it oops because I wanted you to be able to see that. This is the one that's the oops. I messed it up. I accidentally deleted all these things. I want to go back to the one I had yesterday. I'm going to click on it. And phew, yay, all my team people are still here. See the difference? Bob the Bear, Craig the Cougar, Lucy Grasshopper, they're back. So I was probably trying to add somebody new to the team, maybe Douglas the Deer, and instead of adding him, I messed it up. If this were a short list like this, it's not a problem to just type a couple extra people. But if your sign-up sheet has 30-something people, you don't want to be going all the way from zero. What would be easier is to go back to this version. See how the oops only had one? Al the Anteater survived my mistake of deleting. It'd be easier to come back to yesterday's saved version and then stick in Douglas the Deer. So click the version that you want to go back to before the mistake happened and then say restore this version. You can restore it. It will ask you, you really want to do that? I'm going to say yes. And now all my data is back and I can go add Douglas the Deer like I planned. Douglas is in between Cougar and Grasshopper. I would click on Grasshopper. I would come up here to insert a row above, make me a space. This time I'm going to be really careful when I put Douglas the Deer in there. I click on the boxes, I input his info. There we go. And his pretend number is just fives. And now he's there. Now, this is the good version. Everything is wonderful. I'm going to go up here to File, and even though it'll automatically save it for me, I do have the option to give it its own name. So I'll come down to Version History, and I'll say Name the current version. This is also helpful if you have more than one person being the manager of your sheet. I'm going to call this Cat Edit, and I did it to add the Deer person, and save. So this time, when I go back into the version history, we'll go to File, come down to Version History, see it. It will now appear on my list. Well, Kat made some changes. It was in October, and the changes she did was add the deer. So if somebody else is working on this with you, Al the Anteater, you can make it a habit on your team to, when you do those changes, save it in the version history and say who made those changes. Al edit, and he did it to remove Lucy Grasshopper because she moved away. That way, if you have problems, you can scroll down your version history and go back to wherever it was that was close to the mistake, and then you only have to fix the little mistake. You don't have to be starting all the way from nothing. Hope that tutorial is helpful to you, and I'll talk to you soon.